Conceived by Pierre Boulet in his 1963 novel La Planète des Singes, or Planet of the Apes, the franchise has survived in the form of book, film, TV, animation, and comic book. The original film series contained 5 films from 1968 to 1973 and led to a 14-episode TV miniseries in 1974. In 1975, the Apes made the move to an animated series for 1 season. In 2001, the property was revisited by Tim Burton, with Mark Wahlberg as an Air Force astronaut stranded on the planet. The franchise started again in 2011 with Rise of the Planet of the Apes, which focused on a young chimpanzee, Caesar, who ultimately began the ape revolution. This newer ape series has already spawned a sequel, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and as of this recording, pre-production has begun for War of the Planet of the Apes, which is due in 2017. One common theme seems to flow through all the various ape stories. How will humanity survive in a world dominated by ape? Greetings, citizens, and welcome to another Real Comic Heroes podcast. I'm Travis.
And I'm Patrick. Today we're doing the 1968 version of Planet of the Apes. You did not disappoint.
I'm glad you specified which version of Planet of the Apes we were doing.
Yeah, I was sort of second-guessing myself on the year for hot site. That's why it's so slow.
Yeah.
It's an old trick we do in the podcasting biz. Talk slow until your brain can catch up.
That's right.
Okay, so this is obviously from Travis's spot-on impersonation, a Heston vehicle.
That's right.
And Roddy McDowell.
Oh, he's awesome.
Which, really? Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Right off the bat, disagree.
Okay. I guess we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. Wow, okay. Just because he's on the cover of that DVD. That's all. Oh. That's part of what I was thinking. I was like, really? You're going to have that dude on the cover?
Right.
But whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, we'll get into it.
All right, so IMDb has the summary as follows. An astronaut crew crash lands on a planet in the distant future where intelligent talking apes are the dominant species, and humans are the oppressed and enslaved.
Nice and to the point.
Yeah, kind of vague without, doesn't give away too much, or
That's weird though. I never pictured them as enslaved.
That's what I was about to say. It was very weird. Like, why are they being rounded up, and if they are being enslaved, for what purpose? So
yeah, I didn't see any of them doing anything other than crapping in cages and stuff.
Yeah, so that was a little.
They're more like zoo
ambiguous
exhibits than actual slavery.
Yeah. But Planet of the Apes was directed by Franklin J. Schaffner. He is probably most famous for directing Patton. That.
Oh, the old war movie.
Iconic, war picture.
Yeah, this movie's old.
Yeah.
So
where do we want to start?
Do you want to start right where the movie is with the monologue he has with his recorder?
Yeah, it's kind of a interesting way to open the movie. It's the second movie that we've done that opens in space.
That's true.
Which, if you think about it, it's kind of they're a year apart. You only live twice in this, and we're in that age of people being obsessed with space travel and things like that. So it's
I mean, it was kind of eerie, the depiction, because I wasn't expecting him to be by himself.
Yeah,
like everyone else was asleep already.
I got the impression that because even he says something about basically tucking in his crew
Yeah.
for the long journey. So I get the impression that if we would have opened the movie 5 minutes earlier, they would have all been, still awake.
Okay. Yeah, I think I was just confused as to why he
Yeah.
stayed up.
Yeah. Probably just he's in charge, so he was the last one to go into the deep sleep kind of thing.
Because I thought they were like cycling, maybe, like to take
be.
the helm.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah, maybe.
Then, they ended up just all being asleep at one time.
Yeah.
So
I noted that, when the movie starts on the ship, the real time on Earth is like it's the year 2673, but for them on the ship it's July 14th, 1972.
yeah,
So it's,
I think later he said like it's 2,300 years had passed, and
yeah, once they crash it's 3978. So
I
it's
can't do math. That's way too much.
It's
Seems like
basically been 2,000 years from the ship time.
Okay, that's the part that was throwing me off. I was trying to get all this together because I know he was saying like 323 light years away, but
yeah, I didn't pay too much attention to that. There's something about which star that they were supposed to be orbiting or whatever. So somewhere in the Orion belt.
Yeah, I was like, really?
Yeah.
Okay. The whole space math was throwing me off.
Yeah, I didn't.
But I guess you can't really get bogged down with that in a Planet of the Apes kind of movie.
I like the crash landing kind of right out of the credits is interesting because it's just very, it just happens, all of a sudden. You're not sure, you don't know why the ship crashes. You don't know what put it off course or any of that. You're just...
Yeah, and it was after they crashed, he mentions that they were not programmed to land in the water. So
yeah,
I don't know what that means, but
yeah, but
so
they had
something
that...
went horribly wrong with the electronics and whatever systems they had.
Yeah. So the crew that we meet once they get out of the ship, we meet. Taylor is, what's that?
The ones that make it.
The ones that make it, yeah. Taylor, Landon, and Dodge, and then Stewart is the only female that they brought with them, and she died like in her sleep. They say like 1,000 years ago, something like that.
I don't understand exactly why. That part confused me, that the air leak caused it.
I guess
because they're all traveling in the same.
Yeah,
vessel, so time should have been the same. I would have thought,
but I think because they were in a deep sleep for those 1,000 years, they were completely in hibernation for 1,000 years. Where she had an air leak and has probably died of whatever natural causes in her sleep, and then her body was just there for the same 1,000 years that they were sleeping. Is the way I...
I'll never understand space travel.
Yeah. It is weird, though, that the mission was to go... I don't know what their end goal was, but they're...
Well, they talked about it. It was just in vague... Like, the one guy was there to explore what hadn't been explored.
Yeah.
And then the one that Heston's constantly tormenting is...
yeah.
You can't accept it. Time's wiped out everything you ever knew. It's all dust.
Everyone you knew is dead and gone.
Yeah, I didn't know why he was being such a dick to that guy.
He was just like a downer and a half.
Especially they crash land, and then Taylor's the only one that gets a look at the time. So he's the only one that knows how long they've been away or whatever.
Yeah.
But as soon as he tells them what year it is, he's instantly like, you can't deal with it, can you? Like, he doesn't give them any time to process.
Well, he's just begging, just totally getting that one guy. I don't know if he was the All-American boy, he calls him, and there's probably been a bronze statue of you erected, but it's now turned green and falling apart.
It's weird to get a read on Taylor at the beginning, because even his monologue in the beginning of the ship, he's like, anyone here is, anyone listening is already dead or whatever. So
that, and he's like, I think his mission is to find something better than humanity, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, he just hates humanity and how they're doing things, and so he should be all up for the apes.
I think so. Yeah. So they crash land. They've made it to shore or whatever, and then it's like they have enough supplies for about 3 days travel. So they basically just have to find shelter, food, anything like that, and they just kind of pick a direction at random and go. But one thing I thought was interesting was the first sign of life that they find, which was this like shrub.
Yeah.
They destroy. They all dig it up. Like, is that like
a commentary on
exactly? Is
man.
that saying? Yeah. Is it a commentary on like man has to
possess
control life around him, and that I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe it's nothing, but that's.
See, I didn't know if they were going to take it and maybe try to grow something out of it.
Yeah, it's unclear. And then
otherwise, why take it?
Right, because then you see them the next kind of scene,
Yeah.
and they're still just traveling, and by that time there's other shrubs, and it's not significant to find any plant life anymore because it's
it's old news.
Yeah. So I just thought that was kind of interesting that their first act was just dig it up and rip it out of the ground. So.
Well, at least they did it as a team.
Yeah.
Which was weird, too.
Yeah.
But I noticed while watching them walk and walk and walk, the minimal score to make it seem more desolate and empty.
Yeah.
At some points, there's like zero score. Like, it's no music, it's just the sounds.
Yeah.
And the crunching feet through the sand, and I thought that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do a good job at that, because I wrote down it's like 24 minutes before you see any other sign of life, aside from the plants or whatever. But so yeah, that first like first quarter of the movie is a lot of establishing,
how the atmosphere is and like the
and just it's a weird movie because you could put the first 24 minutes at the beginning of any space movie, I guess. Like, the fact that they find apes later is, kind of irrelevant to the first part of the movie, which is just them traveling across a desert. So it's,
and they eventually run into the, I guess they're scare people.
Yeah, I really like the scare. Yeah, scare.
I assume they were supposed to look like apes because that's what I thought.
I think so because with the arms being so high up above, to me they look like when you see an orangutan hanging them.
And they were kind of hairy, like it almost had like animal fur on it or something.
Yeah. Oh yeah, actually I did notice that that they do have probably just whatever kind of bear fur or whatever, but they did dress them up with some fur, so
yeah. So once they get up the hill, buy those things, you find out why.
Yeah.
To keep those damn humans away from the vegetation.
Yeah.
I mean, it gets into him hearing the water, and that's exciting because you just walk through a desert.
Oh yeah, and it's understandable that the first thing they would do is just kind of go nuts and start swimming around, and
literally go nuts first.
Just start hanging their nuts out to dry.
My first thing would have been drink it before you get your nastiness into it, but
I mean,
I guess you can go to the falls and drink that water.
Which that's the first thing Taylor does is kind of separate himself and go check out the falls part of it. But I do like the because now we're kind of at the they find the other humans on the planet, the first sign of human life, and they're essentially like cavemen. They're all kind of in rags and just clearly they don't have language. They're just
it's weird. They don't have any noise. Like
they are very silent.
You'd hear like grunting or I thought it would be more like your stereotype of a caveman where but they were just silent, like straight nothing.
That is interesting. Do they scream when the apes start to?
No, they just sort of look and then start running.
That was a creepy shot where they
the sticks or
when the crew sees them just freeze dead, and then they start running, that was kind of creepy.
Yeah, and that gets into the rodeo of bringing up all the humans and
the roundup.
Getting them out of the, I guess the crops.
Yeah, they're just essentially just pest control,
Yeah.
keeping them out of their corn. It looked like
It was weird, especially after the fact. Looking back, once you get further into the movie, the whole sort of play on the picture they were taking with the humans at their feet.
Yeah.
Like they just made a big hunt.
Yeah.
Like, but then later it gets brought up as one of the reasons why they don't trust humans. Dr. Sayus at the very end. It's because they kill for sport.
Oh yeah.
But that essentially looks like what they did.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's kind of.
I don't know, it didn't strike me until obviously got to that point at the end. Spoilers.
Right. No, that's a really good point. That
I don't know if they were dead, but they looked like they were dead.
Yeah, no,
it's just a pile of bodies.
Well, we know that who is it? Dodge is shot and killed. So we know that they did kill some of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, Dodge is shot and killed. Landon is captured. Yeah, so he's just rounded up. I can't remember what situation he got captured in.
At one point, he fell into the corn. Yeah. I think he got just swiped up in another net like everyone else was.
Yeah. The interesting part is that even Taylor kind of looks like he's killed because, you know, he got shot in the throat and then captured, and that's kind of the, you know, seems like, holy shit, did all the humans get, you know,
I mean, that's
killed? But
it's kind of, I mean, it turns out to be a driving point for the second act.
It's obviously the wound is the setup for.
Yeah, but I was just like, man,
paid off
they better have good doctors in the ape world.
Well, and then that's the first thing you see once it cuts back to Taylor is that he's getting patched up and he got a blood transfusion.
Mm-hmm. That's from the female.
Yeah, from Nova, right?
Nova, yeah. Well, she's named Nova.
Yeah.
Once Heston gets a hold of her.
I did note that you know, the humans, next time we see basically that they're taken back to Ape City, and that is the actual name of the city, which is kind of lame. It seems like in the writing they would have come up with a better name for their city. They don't say it in the movie, but in doing some of the reading, it's, you know, it's not like we would ever. You don't go to Human City.
Humanville.
Human Town, but.
So that sort of gets us into the second act of his capture, I guess.
Yeah, in the I guess in the book, the city would have been something similar to a, you know, from our timeline, a city or town in the 1950s or 60s.
Really?
Like they would have had the kind of that same level of technology, like automobiles and things like that, machinery. So with the book, you know, had the apes were much more technologically advanced, but when they were, you know, coming up with the screenplay and everything, they thought, you know, a lower tech civilization would be kind of more interesting on film and be cheaper, essentially, to set up, because you don't have to film in a city. Essentially, you just set it all up in a.
Because it's odd that they're so fairly medically advanced.
Yeah.
Yet they don't have some understandings of certain aspects of science.
Yeah, flight has no concept to them. Yeah.
The paper airplane that totally blew their minds.
Yeah. It's a toy.
It's a toy. Because, I mean, they have different forms of science. They have, you know, like the social behavioral science.
Yeah.
They have medical science, and then archaeology even.
Right.
So they have a sense of history.
Yeah.
Which is sort of steeped in religion to them.
Yeah, it's a weird
faith, I guess.
Yeah, it's a weird mix there. Religion and science is all, I guess
it's one.
It is. It's one, and you know I guess that we should talk about the.
It sort of gets us into the third act almost.
Kinda
that battle.
I was gonna bring up like the way the apes are divided. Like your gorillas are all your military and police force and all your soldiers and like that.
It's like a racial class system.
Yeah, all your orangutans they're the faith leaders, the kind of the
Presidents.
politician, president, all your, I guess, society leaders. And then your chimpanzees are all your scientists,
middle class.
Yeah.
Because they're not higher level, but they're not low level.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting how they, how they break them up. I think they go away from that remember in the Tim Burton version, the leader of the military is a chimpanzee. So that's the only one out of that movie that I remember being, because he's like the bad guy of the whole movie, but he's a chimp leading all the gorillas. So I don't know.
I think I've blocked that movie out of my brain.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to kind of go back to that eventually.
Yeah, because this is the first time seeing this movie all the way through for me.
Oh, really?
Like, I've seen bits and pieces, but most of what I remember is probably from spoofs.
Okay. See, I guess we could talk about kind of when we first saw this or what our first experience with the Apes franchise and stuff is. I would watch this, like, they would do marathons on Sci-Fi Channel. Like, when I was probably 10 or 11, I would watch this.
Really?
Oh, I loved, I don't want to spoil anything, but...
Yeah, I mean, it strikes me that you liked it at that age. Like...
Yeah, as a kid, I could watch this, some of the sequels, and then they had a behind the scenes, like, I think it's officially called Behind the Planet of the Apes. That's like probably a DVD feature now. But they would run that on Sci-Fi Channel as well, and it was essentially Roddy McDowell hosting a behind the scenes special, and I just watch that stuff all the time. So
it's a really slow start.
It is a slow start, yeah. Which
I mean, it's got some action, I guess, you know, and you got apes.
Yeah, I mean that obviously that first half hour of the movie is kind of uninteresting, but once it gets going, I was always just hooked. And
you're probably not as bummed out by the
theme
of the movie, essentially.
Yeah, that kind of went over my head.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
because I always think that, like, looking back at, like, Star Wars, for instance, it's a really slow, not a whole lot of action, but a lot of kids like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just weird to think that something that is not just constant action or noise and...
Yeah. Well, and essentially you get, there's a lot of talking, a lot of just, kind of talking about faith and science, and then there's a courtroom scene, essentially. So, I don't know why this movie grabbed me as a kid. Probably the makeup, probably the people in ape suits, I guess. But
that gets me to another point that I noticed. Very inconsistent ape movements. Like, some have more of a gait like an ape when they're walking or, like, just interacting. But others are just, like, straight up humans walking around. Like, no, like, sort of, like, gangly sort of swaying or, like, hunched.
Yeah, I noticed
it every once in a while.
Yeah, when Zira runs around or walks around, her arms are almost always, like, straight down at her sides. And she just kind of...
Because Zayas was more quickly. Ape or orangutan. Well, maybe because he was orangutan.
Yeah, because the gorillas all seem to be kind of lumbering, very just...
But I also thought it was interesting how I expected the apes to be stronger.
Okay. Yeah, I think you would assume that, but...
But maybe that's just... Well, even the guard apes aren't that strong.
Yeah.
Like, they get taken out easier than anyone.
And that's probably one of those things that, because it's not really a big action movie, it's...
Yeah, it's definitely more of a social commentary kind of movie.
Because they definitely are in
I remember that in Burton's.
Yeah, that was a big part. Like, they could fight, they were very...
Those arms should be able to toss a human easily.
Yeah, for sure. So I think just because this movie just isn't set up to be a special effects,
Because they were, like, downright awful at fighting.
Yeah.
Like, it was pathetic.
Yeah. Want to talk about...
I mean, you sort of see, like... We talk about, like, Heston's voice.
And oh, yeah.
He has a surgery to repair it.
Yeah.
And he's wrapped up, can't use his voice, so he's desperately trying to communicate using gestures.
Right, and they all, everyone that sees him do this think that he's just mimicking or
Yeah.
just mocking, and think he's just, because they think they're just animals,
Yeah.
So
It makes me think of the ape they try to teach sign language to that we have.
oh, sure.
And some people think it's just mimicry, but it turns
Right.
out that they're actually using it correctly.
Yeah.
And
Um,
it's very zoo-oriented in this section of the movie.
yeah.
Can't remember that gorilla's name.
Coco.
Coco, that's it.
Yeah.
I was thinking Bobo for some
Bobo.
reason.
Not
Close enough.
pretty close, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. Like the
No, it's a
struggle for
good,
him to communicate, and she could tell. Was it Zira, or what's the name of the
human or
the behavioral ape?
yeah,
Zira.
Yeah,
Okay,
Zira.
Zira could see. I mean, that's why she named him Bright Eyes.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he was intelligent, I assume,
Right.
or maybe he had striking
I think
eyes. I
she
don't know.
just, I think she saw that glimmer in him that she didn't see in the
Yeah.
other, and probably the other humans probably don't tend to make eye contact.
Oh, yeah, I can see that,
Whereas he was like intently, wanted her attention and
Yeah.
wanted, because really, I think that she says it later in the movie that pretty much all humans look the same to them.
Mm-hmm.
So she would never notice, if one was. No other human probably has ever had a reason to lock eyes and try to get their attention. So
Yeah.
that's probably why she notices his eyes.
Well, the humans are more subservient. Like,
Yeah.
they're beaten. Mm-hmm. They've learned to avert trying to gain any notice by the apes.
Right. Yeah.
So that's probably why they wouldn't
yeah.
want to confront them face to face.
Yeah. Because they're kind of that odd mix between like cattle and stray animals.
Yeah.
And
I was like, do they eat humans? Do they just?
It seemed like that maybe they were rounding them up for food, but no. And then we can talk more about are they being sent to death camps? Are they slave labor? Because we're not shown any signs that they're being put to work. Or
Yeah.
aside from some of the humans go to the science division and are being studied for animal psychology. Some seem to the dead ones, they go to the museum.
Yeah, they're stuffed.
Other than that, I don't know. It's very unclear why. We know why they're getting them away from the crops. That's just a pest control thing. But
Yeah.
it's kind of confusing as far as
Yeah, because
what do they keep them in cages for? And
Yeah, because it's not really a zoo either.
Yeah.
Well, Zaius doesn't. Well,
Julius says something about they're
that's
taking
true, that's
taking
right.
him to a zoo. So they do have a zoo.
We just
So
don't see it.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I wonder if their zoo has other animals too. Do they have
Yeah.
birds and bears and other?
Or
Other
where they
animals?
got those pelts from on the.
Yeah. So that'd be interesting to see the zoo in Ape City.
Yeah.
I like that. Right after that roundup, that it's an obvious attempt at showing that the apes are like how humans like us would behave, based on the way that they are treating the humans, which are lower life form. It's very much how we would treat
Yeah.
a lot of animals. So
There was I can't remember exactly when. I think they've used it a couple times.
yeah,
The fire hose
right, yeah,
to back them away.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was supposed to be some kind of commentary on us, like civil rights.
sure, and like
using
riots and things that
using the hoses
Could
on
be.
people,
yeah,
and sort of the tie-in with that.
yeah.
I mean, he's got a ridiculous line where he's like, "It's a
The
man
madhouse.
hose," didn't he?
No, he calls
He
it a
said
madhouse.
It's a madhouse! A madhouse!
Yeah, it's
I thought that dude called it an ape hose.
it's a madhouse.
It's a madhouse.
A madhouse.
Okay, makes more sense.
Okay.
I thought the guy called it an ape hose
Oh.
while he was spraying him down and stealing the woman.
Okay.
And then he said, "It's a man hose."
That would be so much better.
That's like that's why I thought it was horrible.
Yeah.
It's just misunderstood lyrics.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, it would have been better at Man Hose. Look into that, whoever's
Man
redoing
Hose.
this movie. Whatever, I'm sticking with Man Hose.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's gonna be a quote.
Oh, yeah.
We'll call this episode Man Hose.
Man hose. That's awesome.
I even wrote that down. Wow, that's embarrassing.
That's great.
Do we want to talk about like Dr. Zaius?
Yeah, definitely. So as soon as we meet him, he's basically, even though he's in charge of science and
Keeping the
faith
faith
and everything, he instantly is like, Cornelius mentions something about going off on archaeological digs and everything, and Zaius kind of warns him not to be too excited or too overzealous with his archaeology.
Cornelius, a friendly warning. As you dig for artifacts, be sure you don't bury your reputation.
He's got constraints he's trying to put on science.
Right,
He's not really a science officer.
Yeah, he doesn't want to. He doesn't seem to want them to advance quickly. He definitely wants to keep, like, from the get-go, we know immediately that Zaius probably knows more than is showing, and that he tries to keep that under his thumb, it seems like. So
Yeah, that's what I think that the meaning behind science officer is, that he's keeping an eye on science so it can't go out of control and break the faith, quote unquote.
Right. He tries to keep science within the constraints of religion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like, I don't know, I sort of saw him as like the old way of thinking.
Yes.
Like
yeah.
pre-Enlightenment period.
Right.
Where science is being dictated by faith.
Yeah.
Like, what was it, Galileo getting imprisoned by the church?
Yeah, because he was his views were heresy and all that. Yeah.
So that's what it made me think of, was pre-Enlightenment.
Well, that's a great takeaway.
Nerd alert.
No, I think that's a great, I didn't pick up on that. I picked up on him, trying to keep the truth concealed, but no, I didn't take it that far, but that's great.
Because it's, heavy religious science debate going on in this movie.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about just the scene with Taylor and Zira and Cornelius and all the communicating and the writing and
in her office?
Yeah, in her office.
I'd start that one off by... This is why I didn't like Cornelius.
Okay, yeah.
Is because he was so... Zira was the one that took the chances and sort of had to convince Cornelius into thinking more her way and less Zaius' way.
Sure.
What about your theory? The existence of someone like Taylor might prove it.
Zira, do you want to get my head chopped off?
Don't be foolish. If it's true, they'll have to accept it.
Oh, no, they won't.
Because he's very, status quo, don't rock the boat.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, let's settle down.
Yeah, he was very concerned. Well, I think he was concerned with them losing their positions, and he was trying to be kind of the more sensible one, and maybe this Bright Eyes can talk or can write, but let's not,
Which amazed me that didn't faze him more than it did.
He was very quick to
He's like,
be
oh,
okay
big deal.
with it's kind of they were both even Zira didn't seem like she was surprised, but you would think that would really rock them to the core. It'd be like if Loki, if my dog started talking, that would
be hilarious.
We might need a few minutes to process that.
Yeah, because if that happened in an environment like it is meant out to be, a very religious area, there'd be an exorcism going on. It'd be like, the devil is here. What's going on?
Yeah.
And before that, scene, there's a scene where he's trying to write on the ground, and Nova covers it up. So she must have seen somebody else that could write get in trouble and their brain scooped out or something.
Yeah, that makes sense. I noted that she definitely tries to cover it up, but I wasn't sure. Did she
Because she
seemed to
went after-
understand
yeah,
that
she
you
knew.
were writing and you're not supposed to be writing. Same thing with like when she smiled later on. Like she knew she shouldn't smile in front of the ape guards. Like she only let him see her smile. So
well, maybe to Apes, smile is like aggression
yeah, that could be.
because you're baring your teeth.
Yeah, but it definitely seemed new to her. Like I don't think she would smile had she just been still in the fields, stealing corn or whatever. But
I mean, maybe that leads into the next movie where there is like another tribe that can function at a higher level, and she's seen them. Or I don't know. There's got to be a reason why she acted so immediate to it.
Right.
I mean, even the other guy that ended up fighting with him got into the act.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he was doing that just because she was doing it.
Could be. Yeah, probably just like what the ape said earlier, like human see, human do. So she was brushing the ground. So yeah, that other ape, that other beast, beast
Other
man
human,
started.
But they're smart enough to fashion loincloths.
Yeah, that's convenient. I guess the book had them all naked completely, and then one of the first drafts of the script, all the women would have been bare topped. Just only loincloths and no exposed exposed breast. Yeah, basically.
Gotcha.
But Fox, 20th Century Fox said, probably can't do that.
So we were in the office of Zero.
So Zaius and Maximus show up, basically break up and pretty much chastise them for...
it's breaking the rules because he's not on a leash.
He's not on a leash, and I think Cornelius was late for an appointment with Dr. Zaius, and that's why they came to find where they were. And but again, it's just kind of another scene where Zaius is oppressing that discovery. Like he has no time for the idea that Taylor can communicate, and with the paper plane, like he had no
crushed that.
he did not like that. So
in the writings, he was just like, I wondered why he wasn't impressed, but later you find out he knows why.
Yeah,
I mean, he's not surprised.
Yeah,
he's been fearing.
Yeah, so it's when you watch it a couple times, it makes sense why Zaius acts the way he does. But yeah, that first time you're going through this, it's not clear why he's not surprised by anything and instantly against, has a hatred for Taylor essentially from the get-go.
In the same, well, I mean, I always chalk that up to the religion aspect that he was just not gonna. It was going against everything they were in their scriptures or testaments, whatever they called them, scrolls. Was it, I think. But I did find it odd that Taylor, aka Heston, was not shocked that they all spoke English.
Yeah, I mean that's.
It's still weird that they spoke English, even though we know why they speak English.
Yeah,
because you think they'd sort of come up with their own.
Yeah, had it been
form of communication.
If it were to take place, obviously for real, they wouldn't have English. Yeah, they would come up with their own language.
Because he's thinking this is a different planet.
That's true.
The whole time.
That would be even weirder.
And that would sort of like make me think, well, what's going on here?
Yeah. Probably just one of those things that, for movie's sake, they can't spend too much time worrying about like translating or how is he,
because it comes up later too, like in the dig site.
Oh, yeah.
Where there's like other hints that this is not a far off planet.
Sure,
but we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Let's see. After this, we go
pretty much back to the.
Back to the cages.
Back to the cage, and then that's I think when you get the fire hose and everything like that, and you get the. Or no. Let's see.
Does that go into the tribunal or no? Well, he hasn't escaped.
He escapes from the cage.
Yeah.
And then runs through the museum and sees Dodge and his dead body and all that.
It's amazing you could remember their names.
Oh,
we spent such a little time.
Yeah.
And that guy said nothing the whole movie.
Yeah. But then you get they round up Taylor again while he's making his escape, and you get the immortal line.
Mm-hmm. What I was waiting for the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, there's no surprise that like that the line.
It's iconic.
Yeah, it's so iconic. I think I read that it was number 66 in the 100 most memorable quotes. I think it's somewhere on there.
I mean, it's been
66 out of the 100 quotes from the American Film Institute. So
I mean, it's been redone so many times.
Yeah, it's goes beyond being iconic. So
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
You don't want to do your Heston?
see, I can do the noise, but can I do the quote? Let me get into
the character.
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And that's perfect because Travis's wife just walked in.
Oh, nice. I didn't even hear you.
And she just looks at him like, oh, good Lord. She walked in as soon as you said.
Did she? Oh, man. I wasn't even looking that way.
I was like, the timing could not have been more perfect for...
That's funny.
So we were sort of at your, the quotable line.
Yeah.
When I was watching this, it made me think that there is like a common school of Heston, Adam West, and Shatner.
Oh, yeah.
Like the three are very theatric.
Yeah.
But Heston's weird because it's only certain moments that he really chews the scenery like that.
Yeah, when he's talking to Nova, like in the, let's see, it's after the, obviously now he can talk, and he's telling her about, there were women, lots of women, no love making, or lots of love making, no love. That
no love making. Oh, poor Heston. No wonder you left. He came searching for Strange across the galaxy.
Yeah. And then he says something implying that Stewart, the female, that she was to be Eve.
Project Eve.
That's creepy.
There was a lovely girl. The most precious cargo we brought along. She was to be the new Eve. With our hot and eager help, of course. Probably just as well she didn't make it this far.
Yeah, I don't know if she knew that, or maybe that's why she punked a hole, so she...
Yeah, she just...
She's just like, fuck this.
Could be.
I don't want to be... what is he said? That's where I got that line where he's like, and then she would have our hot, eager bodies.
I must have missed that, but yeah.
It was hot, eager bodies because I rewound it and wrote it down.
Oh, that's so creepy.
Because they were all just going to have at it. And if that was the case, why not bring another woman?
Exactly.
Why have three dudes?
I couldn't understand that either. I mean,
maybe there were fewer female scientists back then, and
I guess it could be that, I've always heard any post-apocalyptic or any other movie or show that's touched on repopulating, it's always better to have more male genetic material, because you want the females to be able to breed with as many males as possible, kind of thing, to separate and get as many different, but one woman is not enough to repopulate, so it doesn't make sense what.
She's not a dog.
If that was litters. If that was part of their mission, it doesn't make sense that they would be 3 to 1.
Yeah, and that's counting on her not getting hurt or being.
Yeah, it's weird.
Maybe they had a fertility test beforehand. I don't know. But yeah, that was very creepy, and the way he delivered that was super creepy. Yeah, it's like she was to be our Eve, and we were to.
It sounds like they were just the three of them gonna take advantage of her whenever they wanted, and she was just going to be there,
Because I'm guessing she was told she was going to be there for science. I don't think they would have... Because otherwise, I don't know what woman would want to go on a trip.
So it's like, did she know that was her function? Or
I don't
part
know.
of her job job responsibilities. So that I have a big problem with that.
I would have gotten, if I was her, I would have been like, so Project Eve.
Yeah, I saw this in the notes. Project Eve, what's that all about? Oh, nothing. Don't worry about that.
Maybe she wasn't religious and didn't know what Eve meant.
No, right.
But yeah, I was like, whew, you bit the bullet early and better off for it.
Yeah, no, and he even says, that she's probably better off,
Yeah.
So
at least he knew it was creepy, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, half the time I was just like Zach Bryan again. Like, the whole
Right.
Like, I don't know. But it was weird. He kind of looked like Peter Wellers to me from RoboCop.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess there's some...
Like, it weirded me out for a second. Because I'm used to old man
similarity.
Heston, not young Heston. Or
right, yeah.
middle-aged Heston, whatever.
Yeah, kind of leathery skin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of see it.
I was just like, RoboCop's here. Cool.
Right on. That'd be a good mashup. RoboCop, Planet of the Apes.
He survived it. They dig him up.
Nice.
Like that doll.
Yeah. Oh.
That's pretty cool. So then...
So at this point, we're probably at the
tribunal.
Yeah, which...
And there's a scene there that just took me right out of the movie.
Well, when they strip him naked?
No, that I kind of understood.
Yeah.
Trying to
to
demean
them,
him.
he's just an animal. Yeah.
Take him down a notch.
Yeah. Emasculate him.
You're more vulnerable. Oh, I almost forgot the best part before that, where they're going to basically make him... They're going to cut away his manhood.
Yeah.
By, what is it, gilding?
Gelding, yeah.
And the one ape is like, you don't even know what they're going to do to you. And he's like...
Well, kind of similar to that when they brought Nova to Taylor, Bright Eyes.
Yeah.
It's either Julius or it's one of the other gorillas, but I think it's Julius. And he's like... he's acting like a horny teenager, like, because he's essentially giving Nova to Bright Eyes, and just like chuckling like a horny teenager. It's like, if I was going to, or if I worked in a veterinary office and I was bringing a female dog into, a male dog, I wouldn't be like, ooh, yeah, you guys are gonna get it on,
Yeah.
But
which is kind of counterproductive to what I thought they were doing. Why would they want them to mate?
I don't know
if they're just pests and
that's
like
maybe it was kind of a
it's not like they're an endangered species and they're trying to get them to mate,
but maybe part of that whole animal psychology thing was like behavioral. Yeah,
that makes sense though.
See how they react with children, because you never see any human children.
Yeah, that's true.
So they probably don't have much experience with human children. Maybe
the human kids are kept in a cave while the adults go and get food or something.
Most likely. So do we want to talk about the tribunal more in detail?
Back to the tribunal.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I think the major theme of it is, it's all about civil rights and whether or not he has the right to... I don't even know if it's necessarily about freedom, but, they won't even let him speak, so...
Well, yeah, I think Zira says he has the right to know why he's here.
Yeah.
And then they get into a discussion of if he has any rights because he's not an ape.
Right. It's right now in 2015, and we're, there's still so many civil rights issues that, between like marriage equality and everything like that, it's,
And you get all the police and inner city issues. And...
Yeah, so it's interesting, like, the commentary is very strong about,
Well, humans in general, they sort of paint as a horrible blight that was put upon the planet.
Right.
Which really gets brought out more in the last act.
Yeah.
But that's essentially what's shading everyone's viewpoint that's on the tribunal, is that they know, well, at least Zaius knows.
Zaius knows. I don't know if the president or...
Maximus.
I don't know if what they know. I assume, with
I figure the president would know.
Yeah, it's unclear. I don't know.
But they are already biased against non-apes.
Of course. Which is understandable to some degree.
Yeah. Because to them, they were just a mindless eating machine type beast that
pestilence,
was,
you know, yeah.
and why should we listen to this
Right. But it seems like when you're presented with
talking intellectual...
yeah, a talking animal, you would start to think about their rights, you know.
Yeah. If a cow started talking to me, I'd be like, oh,
Yeah,
now I can't eat steak. Thanks
exactly,
a lot.
Exactly.
Why do you have to be so delicious? But they weren't even eating humans, so...
Yeah.
It's almost like humans are a plague.
Yes.
Like locusts.
Mm-hmm.
And why hear them out? Because it's only going to end badly for the apes. It's dangerous.
Yeah, and I think Zaius says something to that effect
And they're not
later.
totally wrong.
That's true, yeah. Because Zaius,
yeah.
last thing he basically says in the movie is to the effect of, they bring war to their neighbors and,
kill for sport.
And,
devour food, plenish, or all the food and move on. But
so essentially the tribunal kind of moves forward with Taylor gets a message across that, what about the other humans that I was rounded up with, captured with? So they go out and they round up all the humans that were captured that day. Taylor finds Landon and finds that he's been basically lobotomized.
Yeah.
You did it. You cut up his brain, you bloody baboon!
Literally lobotomized.
Well, he says they took out his memories.
Yeah, you cut him, you
Yeah.
cause him like a bloody baboon.
Yeah, you bloody baboon.
So yeah, and it's kind of one of those that they show Zaius right after that, and he was responsible for it. But it's like, was Landon talking? Is there a scene? Is there a behind the scenes where Landon was just, like Taylor when he was, I don't know.
It could have been that he said something in his sleep.
Yeah.
And they just took him out then and there.
Yeah.
They're just like, okay, nip that in the bud.
Yeah.
I just said that phrase, nip that in the bud.
Yeah.
But I've always said nip that in the butt.
That's always one of those that when I first heard that phrase, I was always unclear what it was. Nip it in the bud or nip it in the butt or, never clear on like how to say it. So it's one of those phrases like I just rarely say because I'm afraid of saying it.
I know it's bud.
Let's see. Do we want to talk about the kind of the interaction between Taylor and Dr. Zaius? Pretty much right after the
he sort of calls him to his chambers.
Yeah, and essentially, is very upfront with Taylor and says, you're right. I lobotomized Landon, and essentially it just comes down to Zaius just presenting his fears of humanity and what they could become, and
I sort of
he thinks. He's kind of grilling Taylor as far as like where are you from? Where's your tribe? Well, he wants to hunt them down, exterminate them, and
because he obviously assumes there's more out there
like him. Yeah, that's Zaius's biggest fear is finding more intelligent humans.
But if I'm thinking of basically the end where you see the statue, so they're in New York.
Right.
So if you go beyond that, it's a hell of a way to the next land.
Yeah.
So have they gone the other way? Have they gone west?
Because
they got to be in like the east coast of the U.S. I'm assuming somewhere. I mean, maybe not New York. Maybe the statue moved downstream or something.
Well, I think I read that when Cornelius is pointing to the map in Zira's office earlier. They're pointing the map, and like if you kind of like squint your eyes kind of thing, if you kind of just take it as a general map, it kind of looks like the layout of New York, and Long Island is there, and essentially, they are in the New York area. But the weird thing is they essentially traveled over canyons and desert, which is not a 3 mile in any direction is not, accessible 3 days outside of, Ape City.
Well, I'm wondering if some of that's like because we don't know. I'm assuming there was some kind of atomic war or like large bombs that maybe made those features.
Yeah,
possibly as an explanation,
and that would have to be that's the only explanation is the topographical shifting, caused by some kind of geothermal.
Because only how old's their history? Like
1,200 years of ape culture.
Yeah,
I think is what their scrolls go go that far back.
So you're thinking it had to have happened sometime around there. So they may have had like weaponry that could do some kind of damage like that. But
so
where were we?
Kind of, I mean, at this point, they kind of break Taylor out of his little jail cell with the help of Lucius, who is. I think he is Cornelius's nephew, or like some relation of Zira, or
I thought it was like Zira's nephew, maybe.
Yeah, it might be her nephew.
I mean, see, I still am not on board with Cornelius.
Yeah, I don't. Is it just because he's
just more like Heston always has the upper hand, or Taylor always has the upper hand on him? Okay, it seems like he's sort of everyone's. Like whipping dog. Zira doesn't really respect him all that much. Like nobody seems to respect him. He keeps trying to say I'm in charge here, but then everyone's like, quiet down. Cornelius, go feed the horses or something.
I guess I didn't pick up on that much, and probably
he doesn't have much of a presence. I think Zira had the presence.
Yeah, I think for me it's the. I mean, I really dig Roddy McDowall just from the other Apes movies, and like he was in. He was the Mad Hatter in Batman the Animated Series. So I'm just his voice is such a presence in my head that he stands out for me kind of for that. And the other Apes movies, he's kind of he becomes the star essentially of the other movies. So it's I probably am basing a lot of my preference towards him from the other movies. Like he even portrays not only Cornelius, but he eventually plays Caesar, which is Cornelius and Zira's son. So, and he has a incredible, performance as Caesar in Battle for Planet of the Apes, I think. So that's coming up. We'll have a lot more Roddy McDowall. So
it's not. I'm not saying him, but his character Cornelius. Because he's sort of. I know why he's there. He's got to be the middle ground. He's got to be the status quo. While
kind of neutral.
Zeus is one extreme and Zira is the other. Voice of reason. Yeah. So he's the one in the middle.
Okay.
So
that makes sense.
That's his purpose. Is the neutral zone.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, you want to kind of jump towards the cave and the kind of the ending, or.
Yeah, we could.
I mean, there's really nothing. They travel for a couple days. Basically, they take the same journey that Taylor took in the beginning, although in reverse. Because they're heading now to the Forbidden Zone to find out. And this, I guess,
there is one more thing on the council or the
tribunal.
Tribunal. There was a part that really threw me. Yeah, and that's where they do the. Thing with the hands, where they do the hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil.
Yeah.
I was just like, why?
It's kind of funny. I read that they did that like spur of the moment like thing, on the day of filming, and wasn't planned. It just they just decided to throw it in there just to bring some like a lighter tone, for.
It just threw me because it didn't fit with the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
And. I had to rewind it because I'm like, did I really see what I thought I saw? So at least it wasn't over the top with it.
Yeah, I think it's subtle. It's subtle. You could kind of miss it if you weren't paying attention to all three of them.
Yeah,
it'd be easy to overlook that. But I think it's a nice little touch. I think.
It was just something that bugged me.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite behind the scenes, bit of information that I've taken this with me since like I said, I was a kid and I would watch these movies and watch the behind-the-scenes special. And Roddy McDowall was talking about, outside of filming, whenever they were like eating or hanging out off set. They basically had to stay in their makeup because it took so long to get them in and out of it that they just, production preferred them to stay in costume essentially as much as possible. So when they would all take their meals, I mean, you've got probably hundreds of extras and people in costume that they would group up based on what type of ape they were.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so you'd have like orangutans grouping together and eating and smoking and having conversations. You'd have all the gorillas together for the most part, all the chimps together. And I'm sure that wasn't 100% of the time, but...
And just Heston and...
It was kind of just...
The humans.
If you think about it from like a psychological standpoint, it's just kind of interesting that people will tend to group up with people...
Like themselves.
Like themselves,
yeah.
Yeah. They're more comfortable. Even if it was like strangers and extras, they're still going to group up with someone that looks like them. So it's an interesting, like, unintentional psychology...
Yeah.
Psychological experiment kind of thing that I've, always, like, I've taken that, had that with me in my head for years now, and I always kind of think back on that, if I'm ever, like, in a situation. And
it's just so weird, though.
Yeah.
Because, especially since some of those characters have a way more lines than their counterparts.
Yeah.
So you'd think that the people that are talking the most... like in the scenes, would stick together even though they're separate ape species.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
They still separate out like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could understand the gorillas because they don't have many lines in the movie, really. They're more just background.
Yeah.
Except for my favorite one that laughs about Heston getting his junk cut off.
Yeah. If you only knew what they're going to do to you...
That's the best line in the movie, really.
That should be the iconic one.
That's
right.
Taylor's. So we're making our way through the Forbidden Zone.
Yeah, which nothing really stands out there in actual traveling. They
had like a weird scene where he spoke across a
chasm.
Yeah. I didn't understand that.
Yeah, and it was weird because they had made it seem like they were going their separate ways.
Yeah.
And then they stick together the entire time all the way up to the cave. So unless they meant, once we get to the cave and find out what's there, then we're going to go our separate ways, but that was very unclear. And even like once they get to this cave, they want to go and see what, like, Taylor wants to go to the cave that Cornelius had been a year previous on his dig.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really get...
I'm assuming he thinks he's going to find out. See, he doesn't know it's Earth yet.
Yeah,
so...
that's the thing. Like, there's no clear reason why they want to go to this place or what's going to be proven once they've, find anything. So...
I guess he's hoping to see something because he's got nothing else to...
I guess that's...
And it could be a lead to another tribe of humans.
Yeah.
And I'm doing air quotes for an audio podcast.
Right. But, yeah, I mean, so Zaius and some gorillas show up because they've obviously trailed them.
Dicks.
Yeah.
Dude just can't let stuff go.
No, he has to...
And then he belittles Cornelius. He's like, of course you went here. You're simple man. Oh, not man, ape. But, they have some gunplay.
Yeah.
Heston gets a drop on him.
Yeah, like twice even. Like they pretty much do the a standoff twice. Like first the gorillas show up and, I think Taylor threatens to shoot Zaius unless he comes with them in the cave, and then after the cave they have another standoff with same
same result.
Same result. But inside the cave, like, they find evidence of kind of bones and like they found like an ape skull and some of the other fossils and things like that. And then they start like showing the deeper levels of the cave, kind of essentially.
Well, deeper levels he's dug.
Yeah.
In the cave.
Yeah. So essentially looking back, further into the past and showing what they find at each level. And then even like, but still, it's like, what does that prove? Because they don't. I guess they do find the glasses and things that are
Pacemaker.
The pacemaker, yeah, things that I guess the apes wouldn't have had, and
Plus the doll.
the doll. The doll is the big part. Is that's
But
kind of the
It's almost explained away.
yeah, until
The dog goes.
but almost a weird, creepy version
yeah.
of Mama. It's like.
And then Heston goes, "Why would an ape make a doll of a human that talks?"
Yeah, so he's kind of got him at that point, and
And you promised earlier before we went in the cave that you'd let us go.
Yeah.
We proved it.
Yep.
But little did we know he had his fingers crossed behind his back. And he was like, "Ha, fooled you."
You dumb human.
And Cornelius is bummed.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the movie kind of wraps up in a weird place. Like,
I find it weird that Zaius thought that he had saved the day
it's
by letting him go.
right. It's very weird because we're not sure. Like, are Zira and Cornelius and Lucius are they going to be arrested? Like,
Sounds like it.
it sounds like it.
Oh, and this is where they explain that Zaius knows about humanity. And
Yeah, so Zaius has basically maybe seen not this site, I don't think, but others like it, or maybe all the orangutans they've passed down information about humans that they're more dangerous than anyone else realizes, and then he talks about the one of the scrolls that they find, or not scrolls that they find, but one of the scrolls that they have passed down.
Yeah, they
with
read it
wisdom
out
from the
loud.
lawgiver.
yeah.
Yeah, he reads out loud.
And then
It's like, beware the beast man, for he is the devil's pawn. Alone among God's primates, he kills for sport or lust or greed. Yea, he will murder his brother to possess his brother's land. Let him not breed in great numbers, for he will make a desert of his home and yours. Shun him, drive him back into his jungle lair, for he is the harbinger of death. But, like you said earlier, apes are killing for sport too.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not seeing any other examples of what apes are doing on this commandment or of this.
yeah.
I mean, but they're, apes probably breed in maybe not great numbers, but maybe they have population control.
Could be.
But,
Although I'd imagine they'd want to expand rather than contract.
yeah. And one thing I do know from, I don't know if it's this movie or other ape movies or where I've read this or just seen this in the other movies, it is apes do not kill apes. That's a big law for them. So they don't have murder in their culture, essentially. So maybe that's one of the things that the whole idea that he will murder his brother to possess his brother's land. So maybe that's kind of a big. They've seen humans maybe kill humans in order to get a.
Surprising. Well, yeah, I could see murder in that sense, but I could. It's saying also that they won't kill to protect themselves, or do they just not attack each other?
Well, I guess the
Because there's already a class system.
there's a class system.
Maybe it's just that hierarchy stays put and everyone just goes along with it.
I think so.
Because they're not humans and they don't strive to.
The impression I'm given is that there's really no crime, but
Yeah.
they do have a police force with the gorillas, so I don't know what they're policing. Probably just
Humans.
enforcing the orangutans' word, essentially, probably. But yeah, I get the impression they don't have crime, really. They don't have... It's probably kind of a utopian society, almost,
Except for the class system.
Yeah. But, I mean, we're not... There's some resentment from the chimps that we meet. Some of them feel like like Dr. Zaius and people of his class are kind of keeping them back, but we don't really see too much other like dissension among the gorillas. Don't seem to have any problems being the lower tier, and so I don't know how much like.
Yeah, it doesn't really dig into that.
Yeah.
But when Taylor rides off into his new adventure, Zeus says he's going to meet his destiny, so it makes me think he knows that statue's there.
I think he knows about the statue. Yeah. That's, I guess, probably the truth. He does know that, and he wants... I'm assuming Zeus has seen the statue and knows, well, it's obviously a statue of a human face, so that means humans must have at some point built it, and now it's been destroyed, so that must mean that humans caused the destruction, and maybe that's why he thinks humans are so terrifying in great numbers and in letting them advance, kind of thing.
I find it odd that the way you quoted that scripture for them, they say drive them back, but at no point does it say exterminate, destroy, wipe them out.
Yeah.
So even when they are in danger, they'll not resort to what humanity would. Yeah,
and I think meaning like... I don't know. If I'm reading between the lines, I think by saying let him not breed in great numbers, that could mean like if you kill a couple of them just to kind of thin the herd, like that's okay.
Oh yeah.
And the whole like driving them back into his jungle.
But
and
they're not gonna...
If some of them happen to fall off a cliff between that jungle, like that's okay too. So.
But they're not like condoning exterminating the human race like altogether, like we would like.
And I don't know why, because why wouldn't they just completely eradicate them?
Because we're humans, and that's why we're thinking that way.
That's true. That's a good point. Maybe the apes don't consider like mass genocide. Eradication, mass genocide of any race, no matter how crazy or like pesky or dangerous. Annoying. Yeah, or I don't know. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it is I'm thinking like a human.
Silly human brain.
God damn it. I just can't get away from it.
I like the line where Taylor shaves.
Yeah.
And he's like, somehow you look less intelligent.
I know. I like that. And before he rides off, he tells Lucius not to, I like Lucius a lot. Like he tells him, not to trust anybody over 30 and,
He's like, oh, jeez.
Yeah. Has a real problem with adults.
Adults are always telling me what to do.
Yeah.
That's a weird character.
Yeah.
But it's the only kid or juvenile in the movie.
It's the youngest, yeah. I mean, when Taylor was escaping through the museum, he runs into a mother and child kind of thing. But, I think that's the only...
First one with lines, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe there are a few background young apes, but probably none that stand out really. The other interesting thing I read trivia wise were chimps are the only class that we see any females. We don't see any female gorillas. We don't see any female orangutans. Like it's just the Zira and then maybe a couple background.
That was weird.
Yeah. And that could have just come down to budget, costuming, production, but really, I guess there's some human females, but
those roles that those two take up are traditional male roles, like the leaders, the guards.
Yeah, I guess back then,
because there's not a whole lot of scenes that isn't either with the guards or the leaders.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe if they were working in the field being captured, you would have seen more females or something.
Yeah, that could be.
Another commentary.
Yeah.
Still
male-dominated culture, yeah.
Even though in the animal kingdom, that tends to vary.
Yeah.
Well, I can only think of elephants off the top of my head, where it's a matriarchal
that's
society.
Right, yeah.
But I'm sure there's...
I think maybe whales, too, might be...
So anything huge.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So we get to the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, I think we're at the end. I mean, obviously,
choose up the scenery.
Oh yeah, great. Kind of a awesome scene from Heston. Just the whole, you blew it up. Screaming and pounding his fist.
Oh my God! I'm back. I'm home. All the time it was. We finally, really did it. You maniacs! You blew it up! Oh, damn you! God damn you all to hell!
He realizes it was his own.
Yeah, he realizes he's
planet,
home and he's been on Earth the entire time. So, but I mean, at this point, you can't. I don't.
And he knows. I mean, he's already assuming that humanity's screwed it up from the get-go. It seems like, but this is just proving that he's right, and I don't know if he can deal with it.
Right.
Because the whole time he's like, "I'm looking for somebody better than us."
Yes.
Because he's really down on the human race.
Yes.
At least at Earth.
Yeah. At this point, he's proven. Essentially what he said in the opening monologue is that something to the effect of destroying our planet, kind of thing, and basically leaving it pretty horribly off. Nothing left for him to stay or whatever. So, yeah, and it just ends with him with the full realization that at some point in mankind's history, there was either some kind of nuclear holocaust or war or some kind of catastrophe that.
Must have been something that made the Forbidden Zone so desolate.
Yeah, it would have had to have been. Without even looking into it, you pretty much realize it was nuclear because of the Forbidden Zone being so desolate.
Well, that and it was supposed to be like instant death. So
Yeah.
maybe at one point the radiation was still around, and it was.
Yeah.
Because obviously not anymore.
Yeah.
Other than possibly dying of starvation and
Yeah.
thirst.
And that some of that comes up in the next movie, in the next Apes movie. But they don't really touch on any of that here, so I don't want to give anything away.
Yeah, I kind of know where you're going. I heard about the next Ape movie. But that sort of does it for the movie. It ends on him screaming in the water.
Yeah. Obviously, you get that last shot of him in front of the Statue of Liberty that's completely destroyed. So it's kind of a haunting image.
Well, it's definitely memorable.
Yeah, and I don't know. At this point, it's regarded as one of those huge, twist endings. But is there anyone that doesn't know kind of the ending of Planet of the Apes?
Yeah.
So it's hard to, unless you were to show a young person who has no pop culture reference of that final shot.
Yeah. Thanks, Spaceballs.
Yeah.
Spoilers. Jeez. That's my first seeing of that movie was seeing Spaceballs spoof it.
Okay, I think for me it might have been Simpsons.
Okay.
I think they kind of did it, and
well, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me because when I was talking to you earlier about the podcast that I listened to, the Dana Gould Hour, he was a writer on The Simpsons.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
And he wrote that one episode, and it was stuck in my head every freaking moment. The Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas.
Yeah.
He wrote that.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
It's just like every time they said Dr. Zayas, I was like, Jimmy.
I can speak, I can sing.
Yeah. But it makes sense that you would have seen it on The Simpsons since it was probably not just him that was influenced by the Planet of the Apes, or at least, was a fan of.
Yeah. Was there more to... I know you had said something about...
on that podcast he had mentioned a little background into why, like, the history of the Planet of the Apes getting made.
Oh, okay.
It was the 20th Century Fox was kind of hurting after some big flops and financially, and they took a chance on this Planet of the Apes movie because
Okay.
it wasn't going to cost them much,
Right.
and it had some decent stars signed to it.
Yeah.
An odd concept,
Yeah.
even by today's standards.
For sure.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you get some serious actors and they've got to dress up like apes. Like that probably would have been hard to swallow for a lot of
this
of
is
actors.
1968.
Yeah.
So not a whole lot of big budget sci-fi, and this would have been one of the larger budgeted.
Yeah, and it probably would have been like, is this like that Star Trek TV show where people are running around in silly costumes?
Yeah.
You know, probably would have been treated like that.
And they didn't. I mean, it wasn't expensive, but it wasn't done cheaply.
Right.
So they invested in it,
Yeah.
and when it became the hit it became, that's why they pushed for more sequels. And
Yeah.
really wanted Heston to get on board, which proved to be
Right.
troublesome because sequels weren't what they are today.
Yeah.
So they were cashing in on something to help further the studio
Yeah.
by trying to get a sequel up and running right away when that was not the norm.
Right. And I don't think this movie really ends. Watching the end of this movie, I wouldn't think, I want to see the next one. There's really no cliffhangers because the apes don't. Nothing changes for the apes.
Yeah.
Because Dr. Zaius is going to take everyone. They're going to go back to Ape City or whatever.
Put everyone in jail.
Yeah, he's going to imprison probably Cornelius, Zira, and Lucius. He's probably going to make sure any of his guerrilla guards that might have gotten wind of what was going on,
He'll kill them.
Kill them, or just make sure that they don't say anything.
Oh, he'll lobotomize them.
Yeah,
They don't kill.
Yeah,
They don't kill.
That's true. So for me, it's like nothing changes for the ape culture.
The only thing is, where does Taylor and
Right.
Nova go?
What happens for them?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely I guess, cliffhanger, but it's not even like
No,
you're
it
not
wasn't.
given the impression that they go off on another adventure or anything. It's just like they're probably just going to wander around and maybe set up a home or set up some kind of life, maybe find other humans. So it's strange that this became a big franchise.
Yeah. It wasn't like Back to the Future where
Exactly.
it leaves a big, we're making another one.
Right. It doesn't end with to be continued in Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
Or
There's
like,
no...
or even like a hint of like,
Right.
I don't know, maybe there's like beating drums in the background or something at the
Yeah,
end, like
yeah.
it signals there's
Or
something else out there.
A smoke
God, I should have wrote this
in the distance of like maybe that's another city or something like that. Yeah.
There was nothing. It was just him crying.
Yeah. It's kind of a strange ending, but
it did well and helped the studio out immensely.
Yeah, I don't. I know I've got the budget here. It did. Oh wow.
Yeah.
The budget was $5.8 million, and it took in $33 million and change.
Yeah.
And that was just for U.S. So
yeah,
it made money,
Yeah, it helped out the studio enough.
Yeah.
That got them back on their feet. Because they were in a world of hurt and possibly going out of existence.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not. I mean, obviously, I know 20th Century Fox. You think of Star Wars,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's interesting that
this is like
in the 60s that they would have been, in some hard times.
I can't remember if it was the Cleopatra movie, possibly, that went over budget and didn't do very well. The one with Elizabeth
Liz
Taylor.
I don't know. Maybe.
I want to say that's it, but I could be confusing my movie history. I heard this in passing on a podcast, so it's not like it's... I didn't take great notes in the car.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's the gist of it.
Okay. That's interesting.
And then, what was it? There's a line in the movie I liked. It's when Heston wants to give her a goodbye kiss.
Zero. Yeah.
You could say it. But you're so damn ugly, or whatever it was.
I like that line.
She's like, all right, but you're so damn ugly.
Yeah. I think a lot of people get hung up on the kiss. Like, it's not a big deal. It's just a little, an innocent kiss or whatever. But I think that does turn a lot of people off on this movie.
Interspecies relations.
Yeah, like, it's whatever. It's fine.
Well, little known fact: Heston, one of the first to kiss a African American woman on film in what is that? It's the blanking on the name of the movie. It's the one Will Smith redid with a different title.
I don't know. I
It's
Am Legend.
I Am Legend.
Then it was
Omega Man.
Omega Man. Okay.
He kissed a black woman.
Oh, really?
And was one of the first on-screen. I don't know if it was the first.
That Star Trek is big. One of the episodes. It's not Friday's Child. It's one of the episodes.
Mega nerd alert.
Yeah.
I think it was the one where he was got his phaser and there was guys in red shirts, and then blue, blue, zap. That's my imagination of a Star Trek conversation.
No, it's like an episode where they go. I wish I could.
Do they go where no man's gone before?
It's something like that.
Okay, I know where you're.
But there is a kiss between Kirk and Uhura. That's kind of the big
Gotcha.
But it's like the camera kind of pans away as it goes in for a kiss. So technically, it's not really on screen, but
so maybe the Omega Man is the first.
Could very well
maybe
be.
just for film. I don't know, but he's also got that, and also the first interspecies kiss with Zero there.
Yeah.
So Heston he's not picky. If it's a female, he's down to go. He's got that hot, eager body.
Oh yeah.
Did you want to do pros and cons?
Yeah, I think we're there. I mean, and we
sort of already talked about what we liked and stuff, but we can sum it up.
I mean, and normally we would talk about like messages and meanings, but with this one, I think we've already established that the civil rights and equality is the kind of the big message.
And then you got religion.
Yeah, and that, and you got man's destructive nature. I think with the destroying.
It covers a lot of ground.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, I think I'm good to go on pros.
Okay. You want to just say this one together on makeup?
As far as pro?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the makeup.
Holy crap.
I think it's...
I was impressed.
It's very impressive, especially because it's one thing to make a mask, I think, but then to be able to get the performances to come through, like Zira's eyes, like when she's emoting and getting upset, like a lot comes through with her eyes, and then even Roddy McDowell, like he was somehow like, I think on set maybe he had a little more experience with makeup, maybe, or how to act with makeup, because he was kind of coaching other people behind the scenes of like, if you add little facial tics and little gestures and things, it kind of helps make the performance look more real. So I don't know.
You have to exaggerate like facial movements when you're under that much makeup.
So I'm glad we both had that as
I mean that if it didn't win an Oscar, it should have.
I didn't. Yeah, I kind of looked around. I didn't see that there were any big awards for this, but surely they had to have been nominated for some makeup.
Yeah, I mean, I at no point was I looking at it really and thinking, here's another person in a mask.
Yeah, no, it's very easy to forget you're watching people in costumes.
I mean, if you're looking for it, obviously you can,
of course,
see that, but
of course,
just watching, it doesn't take you out.
No, I think
except when they kiss each other and it's weird.
Yeah, and it's rubbery and
just bump faces.
Yeah, that's probably the worst
but
example.
Anything with the mouth is going to be hard to.
Yeah, because it's so far extended outside. But I think even they get lips to move. So they're. I don't know how they did it because there's no wires. I don't think there's any controls off. I don't think at this point you'd have animatronic faces.
Yeah, I don't think they'd be small enough to get in there.
It's just what the actors are able to do.
It may have been like connected at some point to their mouth,
and that must be
maybe like rods pointing out to the actual mask.
Could be,
close the gap up, maybe. But
it'd be interesting to do some more research and find out kind of how they did that.
But, yeah, because I remember like snarling faces.
Yeah, well, like when Taylor kisses Zira, like you see Cornelius kind of puff up his cheeks, like he's. He can't help but be like his aggression gets gets stirred up, so it's kind of interesting. What do you got for number 2, or what's another
I'd say probably I brought it up earlier. I like the score and how it was used.
Okay.
Like the lack of use. And
Yeah.
Just the score in general was kind of fun.
Yeah, it's different.
It was a lot of instrumental, like just high pitches, randomly to sort of give you that like uneasy feeling in the Forbidden Zone. I don't know. I just thought it was a nice trick, and I noticed it
For sure.
helped out with explaining how desolate the Forbidden Zone was. I thought.
Yeah. I think my second pro would be just the tribunal scene. I mean, it's a courtroom drama at that point. And for me, it's frustrating because we see Taylor's side because we're human. You know, we know that he is a man like us and thinks and can speak and can reason, and so it's frustrating that they don't see it and that they're questioning and thinking he's just mimicking or. So for me, it's a great scene. The acting is, I think, really well done, and I get caught up in it because you just want to reach through the screen and say, how can you not see that he can think, and despite not having the spark of a ape soul or whatever, like they question him about. So it's for me that's a pro because it I have a reaction in that scene.
It irritated you.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me think here for the third one. I'd have to say I like the sort of the scenes where they were at the quote unquote zoo prison.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was interesting how they tried to handle humans.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned before, where they brought the female over and they were gonna like watch them mate, and it was like very. It made me think of how we treat like pandas when we're like, oh, we're gonna get them to mate, and there's probably some creepy zookeeper there watching,
right,
making sure things go right, and
it
was very. Like, it made me feel like humans are beasts. That's what that whole like section made me think. Like, okay, this makes sense. They don't see them as fellow intelligent beings that are ape
species. Yeah.
Because they are primates. I mean, I don't know if they call them that, but Zaius does.
Yeah.
But it's in those scrolls, so I guess they know that they're like basically a dumb version of themselves. And then they bring up the missing link with Taylor being possibly the gap between ape and human. So I thought that whole thing was interesting and trying to scientifically look at humans, and it was just interesting to me.
Right on. My third one, we kind of already talked about, is that the messages are very present and sometimes a little too obvious, but the commentary as a whole about diversity is just very strong. So that's I think a good thing that this movie does is just show kind of how stupid we can be sometimes, and in an entertaining way with,
I was just going to say,
makeup, know, so.
And that's why this movie's probably stood as long as it has, because it appeals to kids, and then it's got a deeper message that adults can appreciate.
Yeah.
So it's like a perfect recipe right there.
Right.
Kind of like Pixar.
Yeah. Something for everyone to enjoy.
Yeah.
Except my wife. She hates this movie.
Really?
Yeah.
So she's neither child nor adult.
No. She's a missing
she doesn't
link.
like it. She's a missing link. I hope she heard that.
I love you, baby.
Oh, it's on recording. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
It's just funny. Like, I could see if you're just like, oh gosh, another sci-fi
I think
movie.
because it's a sci-fi movie with people in costumes and
See, that's the difference. It's like some people just will see hokey apes running around and won't bother to listen to the message because they're already lost right from there. Mm-hmm. That and it's aged, so
sure.
You already have a bias there. So yeah, but all in all, I like that movie really well.
Yeah. Do you want to hit some cons real quick and then we'll rate it?
Yeah, let's do that. didn't like the whole hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil things.
Okay.
That threw me off, and I don't know, it didn't fit with the movie.
Yeah.
But I also thought that about Julius because he was so angsty,
Okay.
and it sort of made me think like TV movie special because he's like, adults just don't understand.
Oh, Lucius.
Or did I say Julius?
Yeah.
Lucius. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, he's a little hammy. Yeah.
He was just very Robin from Batman.
Yeah.
It's just, oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Nobody listens to me. I want to shoot things.
I think for me, my one of my cons, some of the characterization, like we meet Zaius and he is only there to squash everyone else's, discovery and search for information. Basically, all the characters are just fairly one-dimensional.
Oh.
And basically because of those class structures, like all the orangutans are faithful and about religion and everything. All the chimps are science-based or intellectuals, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Well, it's like we were talking about earlier. And the reason why I didn't like Cornelius that well is because he's the middle ground
Right.
between Zira
Sure.
and her progressive scientific mind,
Yeah.
and then Zaius' cautious, older statesman kind of.
Yeah.
He knows, so he knows more, so he's right.
Yeah.
Kind of viewpoint.
Yeah.
Whereas Zira's like, we don't know anything. This could be something new, something different, but Zaius is maybe more seasoned and
Yeah.
set in his ways, as they say, when you talk
Sure.
about like grandparents that embarrass you with their thinking, where you go, oh, he's just set in his ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I thought of, like Zaius, the old
Yeah.
school,
The old school, yeah,
and
versus
Zira's new wave thinking, I guess,
Yeah.
and then poor Cornelius caught in the middle.
I think that's part of what frustrates me about the ending is that you want them to grow and come to some kind of understanding, but you kind of know that nothing's going to change for these people. That's my other con is that.
Well, we don't know that. That's the cliffhanger.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, just basing it off of this movie because I haven't seen the sequels since I was a kid, so it'll be like watching them again for the first time for me once we get into those. But
yeah, I understand. It's very, you're this character, go.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and not a whole lot of growing done except for possibly Cornelius.
Right.
And then, so my con, it's hard. I mean, I felt like some of the scenes could have been cut down a lot.
Okay.
Like there was a lot of walking.
Yeah.
A lot of walking.
The journey at the beginning and then the
at
trip
the end.
to the Forbidden Zone.
The Forbidden Zone was just long.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. It's desolate. Let's move on. But as a whole, once you got out of those periods, the pacing wasn't that bad. It was just, when it was bad, it was bad.
Sure.
And you noticed it.
Yeah.
And it served no purpose.
Yeah, there's no reason to show Taylor being busted out of prison, meeting up with Zira and Lucius and traveling, and then meeting up with Cornelius and then traveling. So they could have cut a lot of that down
Because nothing happens.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
I was waiting for like an ambush, and
Yeah.
it never happened until
Not
they
till
got to the
beach.
cave.
Yeah.
So I thought that could have been
Yeah.
something I could have lived without.
My last con is just it's a little one, but it bugged me. Like the passage of time is very vague.
Oh yeah.
Like at the beginning they state like we have to find essentially water and food in 72 hours. That's fine. But there's only one nighttime scene. Essentially is when Taylor is taken to Zaius' office. And we only kind of know it's nighttime because there's like torches lit and it just seems dark at Zaius' doorstep kind of thing. But other than that, like there's a passing reference to Taylor says to Cornelius and Zira at the start of the tribunal, like, it's been weeks. What have you been doing? Something like that. And then with Taylor and Nova, you don't really know how much time they've had together. Is she just instantly clinging on to him, or have they had time to establish, a bond? Like, it's just a very, like, how much time has passed, and that always kind of throws me off when you basically have a movie that's only shown in daytime. It's hard for me to tell, is this the next day? Does this whole movie take place in 3 days? Or...
Yeah.
But then he heals from wounds.
Yeah.
But... Yeah.
And a lot of scenes are also inside as well.
Yeah.
So
that's just a little one for me. But
that kind of ties into what my last one is for Con. It's just trying to figure out how much time has passed in general, like since their mission. Like, I was trying to piece it. They throw so many dates at you. You're trying to...
In this ship, they say it's been 6 months that they've been traveling in space.
I thought that's when he was just awake.
Oh, like he's been awake for 6 months?
Because I'm trying to figure out how much time passed between the time he fell asleep and when they crashed. Because she dies, and it's supposed to be like 1,000 years or 100 years that she was stuck out there. It's confusing because of space travel time. I think
before he goes,
maybe my con on myself for not understanding.
Before he goes to sleep, it's the ship time, or no, Earth time is 2673. When he wakes up, it's 3978. So it's
math hurts.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a long time.
Because they're saying 12,000 years.
1,200 years. Of ape culture.
1,200 years of ape culture. Okay. Yeah. Because I think what's screwing me up is the new movies.
Yeah.
Because there's a point where they're together, man, as we know it, and the beginning evolution of the apes.
Yeah. And
the ape in that is Caesar, right?
Right.
But I thought Caesar was the kid of... Okay. I just want to make sure I got that right.
It's not the same Caesar.
So
it just happens to be.
Is he the great ape that they talk about? Maybe.
Right. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I got it now.
Yeah.
It's throwing me. Because I'm picturing a time where man isn't a sniveling.
Okay. And that's one. I mean, we'll get there, but that's the one thing I thought was weird right off the bat with the Tim Burton one, is that the humans there aren't cavemen type. They all speak. They all have, language and all that. But
because I heard a nerd monster cast on this where they're like trying to come up with why humans are now mute.
Yeah.
And they're like, was there some kind of... Is it because of inbreeding? And that only a certain amount of people survived like a plague of sorts that knocked out humanity and saved the apes? Or was it like... maybe the effect of a certain virus had on vocal cords or something.
I guess I took
It's got to be at the genetic level, though.
Yeah, I think I just thought it was more of a passed down,
be quiet.
Yeah, don't speak because they might find us kind of thing. And after over time,
it
became a behavior, and then over time it just became.
It's weird because
they don't know how to speak.
They don't make any noise, which they should still be able to do.
Yeah, they should be able to grunt or
Because that's what struck me as missing from the human scenes.
Sure.
I was expecting to hear
like
generic caveman speak at least.
Let me think. When Zira comes to the zoo or the science prison, and she gives him sugar cubes, and he's reaching his hand through the bars. Does he make noises?
I don't know. I just remember them gesturing hard.
Yeah.
They were just flinging their arm out.
Yeah. So maybe
to show urgency, but I've never. Maybe they did, and I just didn't notice it. But they were really quiet.
Yeah, I guess I just think of it as
And they call them mutes.
Yeah. Because she even says in their brains, she has seen inside their brains and sees that there are language centers.
Oh yeah,
but they've just been underdeveloped.
Vocal cords.
They have vocal cords. Yeah, they're just underdeveloped, and so that makes me think maybe it's just a taught behavior that became something that they forgot how to talk.
Yeah, kind of like how we forgot
how
to do certain things to do evolution.
Right.
At one point, maybe we had gills.
Yeah, so like maybe in another couple hundred years, humans just wouldn't be able to speak. Like even if they didn't know they could, whatever. So
Well, it's kind of like they tend to think like maybe early man had better sense of smell, like higher senses because he depended on them more.
yeah.
And now that they don't depend on speech, they don't use it, something like that.
Right.
I don't know. We're getting into
That's
a
how
weird
I took
place.
it. Not necessarily that there was a plague that disabled them from speaking, but it's it's possible.
Okay. Well, I think we get into our ratings then.
Yeah, I think we're about ready to wrap it up.
All right. You want me to go first?
Sure.
Okay. Much deliberation, but based on a couple factors, just advancements in special effects, makeup wise, heavy messages that they were communicating, and did it fairly well. I'd probably say a solid 4 on this because I'd definitely watch it again. It was it's iconic, like we mentioned. And it was a huge chance that the studio took on a very bizarre concept, and they pulled it off. And in an age that you didn't see this that often. And I mean, it's got its flaws. I'm not going to say it's a perfect movie, but it was something that sort of inspired a lot of other things to become better. And without it, I think things may not have progressed as it has today. So it's sort of like the grandfather.
Right on.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's more before it, but I thought this was a heavy influence on a lot of people.
Yeah.
I could see that.
No, it's a good. It's a very good take on it. That you like what this kind of movie kind of establishes for later.
I mean, that's what bumped it up to a 4 is
Yeah.
because I mean I know we're supposed to be rating the movie, but I can't like take that part out of it.
Yeah.
In my head.
Okay. No, that's 4 is a good rating. I guess for me, there is some nostalgia there because, like I said earlier, like I would watch this movie in marathon sessions with the other movies or just by itself. Like as a pretty young kid, like I was very into this movie, and even now, like watching it again, I could turn this movie on if I was flipping channels and it was at any point in the movie, I would sit down and just watch it from then on. I could put this movie on right now and just watch it, There's a very high rewatchability factor for me for this one. I don't know why that is. I don't know why I love this movie like I do. There are flaws, I guess, from technical standpoints and everything, but once the movie gets going and the performances start to take over, I am so absorbed in it that I don't notice, camera issues or, I don't know, flaws in the technical side of the movie. There aren't too many plot holes that I can really point to. I don't know. For me, I mean, I have to give this movie a 5. I love this movie.
Yeah.
So
I was expecting that.
Yeah.
The way you were talking about it so glowingly.
And I don't know why I have such a love for this movie, but yeah,
There's a lot of people that do. I mean,
so that should give us 4.5.
Yeah. So yeah, solid movie.
Yeah.
Go out and run it.
Definitely.
Buy it. See it. Next time in a very special episode of Real.
Yeah. Are you ready for some more Bond? I will say that without giving anything away, it's a very good movie, but it's not Sean Connery. It's George Lazenby.
Never even heard his name.
Okay, I was kind of wondering if you'd ever seen this movie. So, okay, good. So we got this will be a first for you for.
It's been a first for me on all these.
That's true.
I've never watched any of these, but I mean, at least I knew.
So you're gonna go
Connery
into this one
Bond.
completely.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
No,
Sean Connery, Michael Moore, and then like
Michael Moore.
Michael Moore. Oh shit, what's his name?
My dad.
That was a good impersonation.
Roger
Moore.
Yeah.
Michael Moore would have been an awesome Bond.
Oh, that's great.
Whatever.
No, so the next one is On Your Majesty's Secret Service, and it's a strong movie. So I'll look forward to seeing what you think of it.
It's amazing. I never heard of that guy's name then.
Yeah, it's it was kind of a one and done. So, but
okay.
we'll talk
Maybe
about
that's
it.
why.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Okay.
So let's wrap this thing up with you can find us on Twitter and Facebook and iTunes and Stitcher, all at Real Comic Heroes. Hit us up on Gmail at realcomicheroes@gmail.com. Send us any feedback or questions. We can open this up to questions about previous movies or anything like that. So
maybe some recommendations.
Yeah, or recommendations or kind of your thoughts on the movies. Like if you watched Planet of the Apes, let us know what you think. So
you thought it sucked?
Yeah. If you think we're just full of shit and you want to call us out on it, hey,
you just don't like apes.
Yeah,
makes you an apist.
That's right.
Think about that.
Yeah. So, up next will be On Your Majesty's Secret Service. So,
we'll see you then.
Yeah.
An avalanche of action. Bigger, better, different. It's got to be when he's around. Vistas of sweeping splendor. Different. It must be so if he's in the picture. Fabulous beauties, all of them dolls, every one different. They've got to be when he's around.
My name's Bond, James Bond.
The new Bond.
Suppose I were to kill you for a thrill.
The different 007. Oh. George Lazenby. The different Bond from the same stable. Diana Rigg as the Comtesse, the different Bond woman. This one's got class and style. The villains with a difference. Telly Savalas as Blofeld, a new destructive force.
With a difference. If my demands are not met, I shall proceed with the systematic extinction of whole species of cereals and livestock all over the world.
Gabrielle Fazzetti as Draco, a tough mafia daddy with a problem child.
Papa, where's James?
Don't worry, he'll join us soon.
But we can't leave him.
Doesn't need your help.
I will not go without you.
You'll have to.
On the day you marry her, I'll give you a personal dowry of £1 million.
Oh. 007 times more exciting than your wildest dreams. The creative skills of the cinema's master filmmakers.
We've hit the rush hour.
If you think you know your Bond, think again. This one's different. This one's got heart.
I love you. I know I'll never find another girl like you. Will you marry me?
Time enough for life to unfold all the precious things love has in store. We have all the love in the world. that's all we have. You will find we need nothing more.